Early in the year, we'll miss a lot of goals. And I have this theory from my development days is I reckon your hips don't lie on goal kicking.
There's the siren. Arms in the air. That has gone through. Jamie Elliott has won the game of footy for this famous club.
Line yourself up to the middle of the goals and basically on the point of impact, your hips will tell you where you're kicking the ball.
Now Elliott can face the goal. He can give it to Gideon and go for the loss. He kicks the goal. Collingwood are in front.
I showed this series of edits of us where our hips were not in line with the goals, and I played Shakira, your hips don't lie, and I'm not going to sing it, but over and over and over again.
Elliott loves to solve a problem or two. Elliott's got a couple. He's on fire.
Maybe Jamie has the hips don't lie in his head, I'm not sure.
One of the pearls of wisdom added to the footy conversation this year from Craig McRae. Mind you, when they kicked 9 by 1s in a row, I started they've all gone all stray on Shakira. Craig, welcome back.
Yeah, good to be here.
Chris Scott, hello.
Thanks for inviting me.
The bond between the two of you, so is the bond of premiership teammates a few times over? Does it last through the years?
Yeah, it'll last forever. Yeah, we were close in our playing days and remain that way. I think like when you're in the game, there's not a whole lot of time for sort of people at different clubs to spend a lot of time together. So it's not as if we talk often, but that bond will always be there, that's for sure.
Was it great, mates? You know how on teams you have the bond, but then you've got the real great mates. Were you and your brother?
Yeah, I used to like him. He didn't like me as much.
You just make great TV.
That's not true. What he means is we started roughly around the same time. We're roughly around the same age. And Fly is a character, like that Shakira stuff. He's full of that stuff.
Yeah.
He'll be great fodder for you guys for years to come. But I was a bit of a grumpy old bastard, really, even when I was 23. So he and Leopard, they used to drive me insane.
Yeah,
really.
I knew if I made him laugh, I was funny.
Have you enjoyed watching Craig's success this
I've
year?
loved it. It's been, for Leopard, I think they've brought an air of optimism to the footy club, and that's the sort of people they are. They're kind of, why can't we do it? And I think, that's sort of what I hear from Fly now, why not us? So I've really admired what they've done because, it's not as if everyone thought they were going to necessarily be in this position this year. So they've clearly had a great impact. I'm happy for them.
Can I get you both a definition? Belief. Is it a token word in football? Is it just confidence, everything working well? What's your version of what belief is, and has your club got it?
Oh, we just presented to our players again today, and as we've done for a number of weeks now, just why we're in good shape, why we're in this position. And we just provide evidence, whether it's GPS or it's data or statistics. You just find ways to fuel energy. And I've always been a believer. I've really never really liked the word confidence. I actually despise it. I think it's an outcome. And, the excuse of I can't perform well because I'm not confident, it really doesn't sit well with me. But, being confident after your actions, I think that's a different conversation. So
what's the one thing that you keep showing your group? What's been one of the constants through the year that you say, oh, I'm showing you again, I'm showing you again? What would that be?
Oh, even just today, just showing stuff around our pressure and our contest stuff that we've been working on right from day one. When they first started, from where they started as a group on this journey this year to where they are now, it's amazing the growth in this group. So I just want to keep rewarding that and hopefully that'll continue to grow.
People would say, and I'll say this, that you guys didn't have the same sort of manic pressure, and tell me if I'm wrong, that you were controlled coming out of the back, athletes controlled the pill, and that's changed a little bit this year. Am I still going down a correct path? That it's playing a bit more manic. Are we seeing a better pressure game from Geelong this year than in previous years, only because of the way you've changed the game style a little bit?
Yes and no. So I don't think the two things are linked. I think that you're talking about two different situations in a game. And I think even Collingwood control the ball team when they need to. And Fremantle were an example of that all year as well. I thought their success was built off their pressure when the ball was alive. But when they had control of the ball, they endeavoured to control it more. Now, I thought what Collingwood were good at, and I only watched it on TV, but they were really good at only giving Fremantle the one that didn't put them under any pressure. So I don't think that necessarily means if you're a control the ball team that you can't have great pressure when the ball's alive. So, but I think we've taken that to another level. It's pretty clear. You can't. There's no secret for any coach out there. Like if you don't have that G, you've just got to be so good at the other things. It's almost a prerequisite.
Have you got a version of what belief is in your coaching and in your playing group?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a fundamental part of coaching. You're trying to emphasise the parts, emphasise your strengths. We've been on record this year of saying we went through a process a long time ago, probably, you know, even in October, really, really quickly after the end of the season for us last year, of sort of taking a step back and saying, you know, let's be as optimistic as we can around what we can do. When we run into some hurdles, we'll sort of try to refine it a bit from there. And I guess we had some success early, which leads to belief. I mean, I think there is such a thing as, you know, false bravado and manufactured belief as well. I mean, that's a disaster because then the players just don't believe you anymore. You can't go and try to... If you're trying to sell a message every single week and they're not buying it, you're in big trouble. So there's a fine line to be walked there, but I think the evidence really helps. And, you know, if nothing else, we've been consistent and our best is pretty good.
What was Saturday night in the journey of your season, Craig?
Oh, it was an incredible experience, Jared. We fortunate enough to see 90,000 of mostly black and white, and we don't take that for granted. I've said this before. A couple of years ago, you go at the MCG with COVID and everything that came with that. There was no crowds. It was quite eerie. But to walk out there early in the game and see the crowds roaring and the Collingwood chants, and we're thankful to our Magpie Army for turning up and supporting us this year. It's been a great ride.
The defensive nature, and this is going to be a boring conversation, but it's really important. We're looking at these great footage of you guys winning, but that's an outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely an outcome. So when the game started, it dawned on really early this game was moving really quick. Then you guys took control. Was that your best defensive game of the year? Yeah, there's Justin Lepage in the screen there. He doesn't get enough credit for what he's done with our group. We started a whole new journey of a different way that we wanted to defend, and just the little details of what he coaches. He's brilliant at the detail, and our playing group, he said to our group today, that was the best we've defended as a group in terms of what Chris was saying before, trying to take away some of the uncontested brand and make it a little bit more live, which we knew could play into our hands. So, Justin's an incredible coach.
What moved you to say, we're here to win it? Having been pretty fastidious in not saying that every time we've tempted you over the last 6 or 8 weeks.
Oh, because the reality was we're just not even close. So why would you talk about it? Like, we're just process-driven. I know the old Lee Matthews, you just want to qualify. We hadn't qualified until the last round of the year, or close to it. But you get to a stage where, you're within reach. That's reality. There's 4 teams left now, and we're very grateful to be one of those. And it's no longer too far away. You can actually see it's close enough. But having said that, we're so good at going back to the detail in the process. We're a process-driven group. Your first coaching year, I've got grey hair, mate. I've been around a while. Has he got grey hair? Has he got grey? They're in there.
They've always been there.
I cut it short so you can't see as many.
Your experience, I know it's a group activity, but your experience as a first-year coach, preliminary final, going on the road to Sydney, is it beyond what you thought you could do and you and your group could do? Well, you're making it about me, but absolutely beyond anyone's wildest dreams that you think we'd be in this position. So we're sitting here, excited by it, but there's so many layers of why we're in this position. And you want to keep bringing it back to me, Robert, but there's so many. No, others. I know that. I'm really grateful to have Bolts and Lepper and Hayden Skipworth and Scoot, all those guys. They don't get enough credit for what they've done to our playing group, and we get to a Friday night or a Saturday this week, and I know they'll be really well prepared because they've done an awesome job preparing our group.
But it is a big thing in your life, isn't it?
Maybe. I don't sort of look at highs and lows of it. I just think it's part of what we're doing in our lives, and this is part of the journey. It's a pretty cool ride at the moment. I'm enjoying for everything it is. You sat here the first time and you said, I'm going to enjoy every moment of this because at your age... I'm enjoying every bit except for when you asked me that question. I'm going to enjoy it because at my age, I don't know how long it's going to go for. Ah, that's right. And footy's back to being a really special sport again. Do you feel that as coach? Do you have time to sit back? I was speaking to your brother on the weekend. I said, footy's in a great spot. You're CEO and the rules put footy in a great spot. And we're seeing the results now. Do you see that as a coach? Do you feel that?
Yeah, I do. And there are the obvious reasons with the pandemic and the stuff that everyone's been through. So, I mean, I was I got to the stage pretty quickly through when it was clear the AFL were going to find a way through the 2020 season, and it was still difficult, but an amazing performance to pull off that year. And I remember being really grateful. We went down in a grand final. It was really hard to take, but through that period, I was always optimistic that it was going to come with a rush once we got back. Everyone was just desperate to get back into it. The crowds are obvious. I've always been an optimist about the game. I go back, and this has not been self-deprecating. This is just the way I look at it, fact. Go back and watch the Brisbane Grand Finals. The game's not as good. It's just not as good. The players aren't as good. Like I don't know what you're like, Fly, but I look at some of the guys in our team. I think, thank God, I never had to play on you. And so I'm not surprised with the tweaks in the rules that have opened the game up a little bit. I'm not surprised we're in the shape that we're in, but it didn't feel like that 2 or 3 years ago. So we should be grateful. I agree.
You guys experience so much as premiership players and players standing up in finals, and you must look at some of your players and say, and you have, Joel Selwood, thank you very much. You must be looking at Jordan De Goey right now, and he's not in Joel's class, not yet. And look at Jordan De Goey and think, you're a special kid because you've been under immense pressure this year. You're asking for $800,000. You've got to perform. And you're throwing him in the middle. So, righto, this is your stage. You must be absolutely thrilled with what he's returned. Yeah,
I think it's great affirmation for Geordie. You know, when he was injured just before, I don't know what round it was, he got injured and he got to work. He had a mini pre-season, and I've just seen this guy, his body shape changed and his energy changed, and all of a sudden, I knew when he came back, whenever that was going to be, that he might have had a quad injury. I'm not sure exactly what he was out for a little period, but I just knew that he's going to be a different player because you just see a guy preparing differently and he looks different and he's had the chance because he missed pre-season. People forget he had 3 months off. He didn't start like the other players did. So he's enjoying that for what it is now, and you know, he's taking us to another level.
So we're seeing this, okay? Yep. We're seeing this and saying what a great player. Behind closed doors, have you seen? Has the penny dropped for him, or did that penny have to drop for him in his preparation? Just talking about what he did then.
Yeah. I think he's growing. Like he's growing and understanding himself. And you know, Jackie Lauder's done an awesome job with him, working on his private stuff. And you know, we know the environment that we have right now for Geordie is a great environment for him to bring out the best in himself.
Did you go on Friday night?
I did, yeah.
Did you, I don't know whether you're a note taker, but did you have to throw everything away that you were making notes on Melbourne and go, oh, right, this is going to be Brisbane?
Yeah, they started pretty well. Didn't know Melbourne, so no, I'm not a note taker. I do it all in my head. And we had a group in there, so it was interesting how the conversation did shift a little bit, and I think it's been a trend across all the finals and even the big games towards the end of the year as well. There's been momentum swings within games, and even the games where the scoreboard's been really close. There was a point, I think, you know, late in the second quarter where I think like Brisbane are right back in this, and you sort of come back to that, you know, idea of belief, you know. And look, Melbourne just didn't quite look as good as they did this time last year, and Brisbane took their chance. But it is one of the hard things about that first week. We haven't experienced it too often, but the first sort of week off after winning a qualifying final.
Did you crack a joke then, did you?
I laughed at myself, yeah.
He's changed, hasn't he?
I'm trying to speak from experience. I thought, actually, I haven't been there that often. But you want to work, but it's like, you know, 50% of it at least is going to be a waste of time because you're looking at the wrong team. But
so what did you do? What was the weekend? Oh, you haven't had it before. You've lost and you've had to scramble.
We have. It's been a while.
It's been a while. But what did you do over the weekend? Is it hard training sessions, soft training sessions? What did you try and? No, we
trained on Friday, and we trained pretty hard. So we don't try to replicate a game. I don't really believe in that necessarily. But no, we didn't shy away from the hard work. But it's very individualised as well. So, for example, Jeremy Cameron was a bit crook, so he didn't train. So he did a session on Sunday, and then we'll train again Tuesday. But no, a couple of days off Saturday and Sunday for the players, and they bounce back into the club today. So it doesn't guarantee anything, but you know, it's better than kind of hobbling in after a really hard game, I would suspect.
A lot of theories in footy, and one of the theories going around was that you might have had couple of soft games going in the finals. Will it hold you in good stead? And then you had the Carlton the Collingwood-Geelong game was one of the best games of football.
Well, your boys really saw ours. We really saw on that Monday after we played each other. That was a really competitive game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I must admit, I find it a little bit hard to tell, and this is a bit of Lee Matthews as well. Like, he always says, I don't care. I kind of don't care how you feel. I don't even want to know.
Yeah.
I just sort of get on with it, and that's the approach I've tried to take. But back to the point, I think it's a reasonable point, and it's something that we did think about leading into that first final. If you were to compare Collingwood's prep for that game to ours, we played, the last 4 we played, 3 at Geelong, won most of them easily, played 1 up in the Gold Coast, which is a fair way away from 90,000 at the MCG, and they were like 90,000 at the MCG, win by kick. 80,000 at the MCG, win by kick. Even Sydney sold out up there, really good team. They were different preparations, but you can't choose your fixture.
Well done there.
How did the two of you land with just 1 vote for Jeremy Cameron out of that game?
Oh, I voted for him.
I just completely mucked it up.
Right.
Did you really?
Yeah. No, I mean, actually, in all seriousness, it's embarrassing. Yeah, it was. I say post-game, I feel sorry for the journos who've got to put their best players in because I don't think about it. I take 48 hours to think about it. It was just a complete oversight. So he's getting 5 this week.
Very good. All right, so we might talk the SCG shortly, that's where Collingwood's preliminary final is scheduled, and then tomorrow night we'll be in the Harbour City. Isaac Heaney and Lachie Neale, who's had 2 splendid finals on the other side of the preliminary final equations on Players' Night.
The Moment, brought to you by PointsBet.
Enduring images at the end of an enduring career. Hudson will be a figure in footy.
Yep.
And David Mundy's wife waiting for him at the end of 376 games. A splendid last quarter goal. Honoured by opponents and fans of an opposition persuasion in a great way. So a top 10 career games played of all time. 8th is where he comes in. He's been a Dockers icon in amongst the most 3 influential players that club's ever seen. You would have worked with him for a couple of years.
Yeah, 3 years. I love him. And this is a big call, but one that I'm prepared to put out there. He's in the top 3 kicks I've ever seen, having watched him up close. And anyone, you can argue, probably 50 other players, but he was that good.
Yeah, it was a beautiful way. It wasn't the result he was after, but the rituals around this now are quite perfect.
So when the game's on the weekend and they couldn't move the ball, we were having discussions. You've got to give it to David Mundy because he will be able to get through this maze of people. Did you have instructions? Don't let it get into David Mundy's hands. Do you go that specific?
No, not really. But you do encourage the players around to look at the kicker so they can see what they're doing with their eyes and their feet. And but yeah, into the point about Mundy, I think we do this really well as an industry now to reward or acknowledge the stars of the game that deserve it, and I think that was a great occasion for him.
The SCG, so you spoke about it specifically after round 22 and felt that its dimensions had played a role in not allowing you to execute in the manner that you would have liked to. What are you doing specifically with an eye towards going back?
We marked the ground today. You probably saw that, but I just thought I coached really poorly. I believe in setting the players up for certain things and to hopefully make them successful in what we're doing, and I felt that I failed in that. So I told the players today that we would be better prepared for things like the shape of the ground, so that we can train on and be prepared for that. And those little details, I think, lessons learnt along the way.
So how did you coach badly?
I just thought that the dimensions of the ground were different to what we've been playing at, and I didn't reference it, and I think that's poor on my behalf.
Is that a bit of a cop-out?
They play 26 games at the MCG every year. It surprised me.
Is that a bit of a cop-out?
I should have known, Robbo. Like you just move the ball slightly differently, and you'll have to set up slightly differently, and it's nothing major. I'm just taking accountability for something I think I can do better.
Because you couldn't move the ball that game. Is that how you saw it? They seemed to strangle you a little bit.
It was hard for both teams to score. I think they kicked 77 points from memory. We kicked 59 or something like that. It was hard for both teams to score, but I thought they defended the ground really well, and their pressure was outstanding. So we know that's coming. I don't think they get as much credit, maybe because they're based in Sydney. They're in really, really good form, and they're going to be really difficult to beat.
It's been reported late today that Tanner Bruin will request a trade to Geelong. Is that consistent with what you know?
I'm a bit removed from it at the moment, which is the way we kind of set it up, especially at this time of year. I must admit, I'm kind of surprised when you hear players have requested things. There's a lot of water to go under the bridge before it can actually happen, but no, I'm a bit removed from it.
Would you like to bring him in?
Yeah, but if I answered that question, we can't stop with that. It sort of extends to about another 60 or 70 plays in the comp, so yes.
And what do you have to give up is the next question.
Like, I think this is my 12th year now, and I do actually have a passion for sort of this part of the game. I think the strategic management of your TPP, your long-term list management planning might be your biggest competitive advantage in the game. So it'd be crazy for a coach with a passion for it and interest not to be involved in it. But there's a timing issue. Like, what have we got? You know, it's less than 2 weeks now if things go well. So I'm focused on the now.
Can I ask you one question? Are you involved in any way with the Brodie Grundy discussion? Or is that the list management group?
Minor. I would have thought minor in some of it, but Graham Wright, I'm a bit like Chris, we're sort of so consumed in the ground balls. Like, let's get that right. And then, got Graham Wright with huge experience in this area, and I just, new coaches trust the process of what that is.
Just give us a quick insight into preliminary finals as you've learnt them. So you played in 5 and you've been in coaches' boxes for more. You've played in 3 and coached in 8. What is it about preliminary finals, Craig?
I think it's, well, the MCG in particular is as neutral as you're going to get it. Grand final day becomes a little bit less than that, but I find it probably the hardest game to win. I think they're so difficult to win, and there's so many reasons for it. It becomes a knockout now. No, we played a game only 2 weeks ago. It wasn't knockout. Now it is. So there's higher stakes for all of it. And what's on the end of it, having been fortunate enough to get to the grand final, you know how special that is. So for those that haven't been in that chair, that you just want that so much, so you're willing to give more. I think it's one of the hardest games to win of the year.
Chris?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's just, again, I hate to go back to the really pragmatic and practical answer, which is when you get to this stage, you've probably got the 4 best teams of the year in pretty good form. So it's always a really hard game. I think finals are really hard. When you finish in the top 4 every final, you play harder because you're playing the best teams, and then the stakes. It is, you think about trying to stay in the moment. Well, prelim finals are hard to stay in the moment, kind of either way, because projecting forward to what's possible for the next week if it goes well, or the feeling of, well, it's abject depression really, if it doesn't work out. It just means the stakes are high, and just harder to stay in the moment. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Good luck to you both. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming in. Chris Scott,
we see you both.
Craig McRae with us ahead of their preliminary final encounters. Tomorrow night, Dean Wallace is going to join us. He's got a story with eerie similarities to what Robbo's lived through in recent times, so for a good cause, we'll get them to have a heart-to-heart.